We have two speakers coming up at the start who are going to share the first session. One is Rachael Scanlon. Rachael works as a special needs assistant. She's a mum of two and a fitness and drama fanatic. She acquired sudden onset FND in her late 30s. Rachael is interested in raising awareness of FND by sharing her experience of challenges of living with FND and how self-advocacy is so important. So we'll have Rachael stepping up first. Thank you very much.
My name is Rachael. I'll be speaking to you for approximately 15 minutes about my sudden onset of FND, my hospital stage, rehabilitation, and living with FND. As I was introduced, I am a 39-year-old mum of two to Noah, age 9, and Ruby, age 7. And up to last year, I worked as a special needs assistant in a primary school. I absolutely love drama and all things theatre, and I have such a passion for sport, in particular athletics. Prior to my sudden onset, I ran a 15-kilometre mountain run and a coast-to-coast 10-mile run last year, just 3 weeks before I was hit with this sudden onset. I play soccer with my local football team, and I had been injured the night that my sudden onset hit me. So as I was at the match, it was Friday, the 11th of October, 2024, I got this horrendous headache. A headache like no other headache I experienced before. I remember saying to my teammates, I have an awful headache, repeatedly, 4 or 5 times, and one of the girls saying, will you just sit down? And when I look back on it, I can laugh about it now. At the end of the match, it got way worse. As I walked to the car, friends have told me that I never responded when they spoke to me, which is really out of character for me. During the drive home, it still just wasn't feeling right. And I noticed that my face had drooped and I was dribbling. And when I looked in the mirror, there was facial droop very, very much on my right side. And unknown to myself, I blacked out for the rest of the journey. Now, someone was looking over me. I got home, I alerted my husband, and he immediately got some help, including an ambulance and my neighbour next door. Unfortunately, the ambulance had to come from Carrick-on-Shannon, which is about 35 to 40 minutes from Sligo. So for my husband and my family, that was some long journey that they had to deal with me on the floor. I fell to the floor, taking what looked like seizures, and stroke symptoms were very obvious. The emergency department, or the ambulance, came and worked on me, brought me to resus department in Sligo Hospital, where I was cared for very well, and tests were carried out until the following morning I was admitted to the neurology ward. I continued to take seizures. I couldn't walk. I had facial droop. I couldn't speak properly. I had to be fed my meals and hoisted many times. And all I could think about was my 2 beautiful children at home without their mummy. The investigations continued, but as the weeks went on, I learned that my seizures were functional. Now it was time to get me moving, as I couldn't, as I said earlier, I couldn't walk. So physio and OT began to get me moving. I remember one day in particular, my brother calling to visit me, and he said, we're going to put you in the wheelchair and bring you out for some fresh air. And that fresh air was amazing. But for me, being in a wheelchair was quite overwhelming. But to add light to the story, my niece came to the exit door to see me, and she said, oh, Rachie, I love your new buggy. So that was just what I needed on a slump of a day. 7 weeks of being in the neurology ward, I finally got accepted to a local rehabilitation ward where I spent 10 further weeks. I received amazing care there under a team which consisted of OT, speech and language therapist, a physio, and actually I was very lucky to benefit from a student who was there doing his placement, and equally I got 2 physios. So I was so grateful for that. I had the support of a social worker who was able to assist me and my family with this new diagnosis of FND. The community psychologist came to visit me, and we had a short session, and in return he told me that I would be seen upon my discharge from rehab. Soon it was time for home, and as you can imagine, I was very excited. But there were a lot of challenges that I faced with regards to that. OT and physio had to come and assess my house, and some adjustments had to be made, like an armchair, shower, chair, toilet rail, a bed rail. But thankfully, I was able to do weekend visits just to ease me in to my final stay, or my final get home. It was a lot to take in. It was lovely to get home at the weekends, but as you can imagine, with 2 young children, it's quite noisy and very exhausting, and lots of in and out and obstacles on the floor, toys and whatnot. Sunday evenings, I was very grateful to be able to get back into rehab for what I knew was what I needed were the therapies and the rest. The end of January was a multidisciplinary team with myself and my husband, and it was a great way for us to figure out and ask questions. Why did this happen to me? What is FND? Will I relapse? And what services would I get in the community? And I suppose for me, the consultant and the team, they were very kind and empathetic, and they put as much in place as they could. And initially I secured physio for the community. My sister-in-law also reached out to Eamon in FND Ireland, and I was fortunate enough to be able to do a Zoom call from my hospital bed. Eamon informed me about group support, and the Leitrim meetings are something that I attend. It was very supportive to have Eamon to speak with. For that Zoom call, he put me in touch with the Neurology Support Centre, which is in Sligo, and I used those services also. But going back to getting home and rehab and not getting the physio initially, I was very lucky to have my physio engage with my local gym. And at that point, she set up a program, a visit to the gym, showed me how to use the equipment, and I'm very lucky to have the family and friends that could advocate, such as Roisin, my sister-in-law, reaching out to Eamon. Just to go back to the support group, it's for me a great way to share and listen to others in a safe space, and it's non-judgmental, and you can say anything there. As I say, it's the safe space that we need. My neurology centre that I attend weekly, I have services like counselling, neuroreflexology, counselling, exercise support group. So that's very beneficial for me. But there are challenges, and living with the FND for me looks like I have fatigue every day. I need 2 to 3 hour nap. Some pain, fatigue, facial droop. I get seizures, and they're sporadic. I don't know when they're coming most of the time. I get right-sided weakness and pins and needles, and a big thing for me is my speech, memory and cognitive delays. I also have problems with my chewing and swallow, and tremors and shakes. I suppose to kind of conclude, I struggled with initially to try and secure a lot of my services, but being that nag on the end of the phone, I'm so fortunate to have secured physio weekly or fortnightly now, 6 months on. I'm on a list for speech and language, which I was originally rejected. I get PA support at home, and they help me with household jobs and shopping and some social interaction, a walk or a coffee. Sometimes that's all you need to lift your spirits on a day that you might not feel like doing anything. I'm trying to finish off now, but my journey hasn't been easy. I know we're with many people here that have FND or live with someone with FND. All I can say is that for me, I take each day as it comes. There are days that I don't feel like getting up, but doing my physio and all my other therapies, OT, etc., by pushing those, it helps me to achieve and push my limits, and it gives me exposure, like today, in a group, which 6 months ago I may not have been able to do. And here I'm speaking with all of you without very little tremoring. So pushing my limits has helped my brain to overcome these challenges and these issues. And I would like to thank you all for listening to my journey, and I look forward to speaking with some of you later. Thank you.